Well, caught on camera, a white woman harassing a black woman while shopping inside a New Jersey Victoria's Secret at the Short Hills Mall. The woman, originally from Nigeria, she's a Nigerian American, she recorded another woman trying to hit her, but when the alleged attacker noticed she was being recorded, yeah, she had a complete meltdown, crying, yelling, later claiming it was a panic attack from fear of the video being posted online and losing her job. Well, local police officers showed up. They told the black woman they could not escort her alleged attacker off the premises. So what does Victoria's Secret say? Well, they released a statement. Following that incident, it reads in part, the video taken in our store is unsettling, and we have initiated a full investigation. Our associates followed our protocols and immediately called our emergency operations center, as well as mall security for support during the altercation between our customers. BNZ's Aisha Mills is back now with some perspective on this situation. Aisha, I know you've been in Victoria's Secret for the semi-annual sale fighting for bras and panties. Has this ever happened to you?
Yo, first of all, I think it's super clear that had anything of this nature happened to me, it would have been all the way blown up, right? Like we would all know this as a Aisha Mills legacy of taking down some Becky Karen white woman, whoever the heck she is, in the middle of the store, right? No, the thing that comes up for me though, Laverne, foolishness aside, I mean, all this is foolish. Who in the hell are these cops? Let's just pause for a moment here. The situation is horrific. The guy in Mount Laurel is trash. This woman who wants to feign like, oh, white woman panic attack because she got caught up doing some really nasty stuff on tape and realized she could lose her job over it. Ridiculous, right? Who on earth are these law enforcement officers, and why don't we have their names running in a scroll on the screen at all times that are doing nothing to intervene when Black people's doors are being kicked in by their racist neighbors, when feces is being smeared on their cars, when white women are harassing them in public, and these cops are showing up like, yo, we can't do anything, y'all need to just get along. The real issue here is that none of those cops are being held accountable for not protecting people, for literally doing nothing, for their lack of service, for not disarming situations that literally could do people harm. I always come back to, the movement in the streets right now around criminal justice reform and how dirty cops are getting away with being dirty. And it's because in incidents like this, you've got a history documented of a neighbor who has been racially assaulting people. And all the cops have said is y'all need to get along even though we kicked in your door. I want receipts on who that person is. I would like there to be an investigation into that entire force around why communities of Black people aren't feeling safe, and they need to be dealt with. That's how we address structural racism. We can all oogle at the videos as long as we want, right? And they go viral and like, oh my God, look at Barbecue Becky or Permit Patty or whatever meme that we, want to call them that is, ha, look at this thing on social media. The real question becomes around accountability. And if law enforcement knew that they were going to be called to question on why, even after being called, they're allowing these kind of assaults and attacks to happen in their community, in public and in private, then I think that we would see people have a little bit more, pause before they do something crazy. And as we saw the dude in Mount Laurel just say on tape, he's like, well, you can call the law enforcement if you want to, but they're my people, right? Because white people get away with thinking that the cops are their people because the cops get away with being anonymous and literally leaving all of us behind and keeping us at risk of assault because they don't do anything and nobody checks them. So that's where I want to see this entire conversation go. We can continue to shame as many white people get caught on tape as we want to, but if there's no real accountability metric for them, then nothing is actually going to change. And I'm glad that the guy in Mount Laurel is still sitting in jail.
Absolutely. And, going back to Victoria's Secret, I was actually shocked at the statement that Victoria's Secret put out. I would have thought that they would have been a little bit more sympathetic to the Black woman. Shockingly, I guess, I don't know, I guess I'm delusional, but wouldn't you think that they would have come out with something a little bit strong, given her some reward points? I don't know, free panties. I mean, I'm being sarcastic, obviously, but really?
This woman needs to
Victoria's
have a
Secret of all stores,
lifetime
which has been
supply of
known for being,
drawers.
they've been accused of racism in their models, in their fashion shows, in their advertising. They've been accused of racism themselves.
Laverne, I am so with you, right? Why does this lady have like an offer for a lifetime supply of drawers and panties? I mean, like that should be like immediately what they did here. I got to tell you, you know, we cannot put our hopes and dreams on corporations to ever do the right thing. And time again, we see this attempt to do this like all lives matter kind of neutrality, right? Which is just foolish. And that entire statement, I mean, to your point, was so lackluster, was so tepid that it really was pointless and even offering it because it doesn't go to address anything. And I hope that everybody who shops at Victoria's Secret is being mindful of that and making determinations about, you know, how they spend their money. And if they feel like the companies that they spend their money with, this one included, really reflect the values and the vigor around values that are required to deal with what we're faced with today in our society.
Now, this woman was lucky. She lives in New Jersey, which is a state where you're allowed to record people without the other party's consent. It's not like that in every state. Is it, you know, we've come to the point where you've got to have, you know, your camera rolling at all times. I mean, how are you supposed to deal with this? I mean, what can people do, people of color do? You can't go everywhere with a video camera or record your camera because, like I said, she got in New Jersey, you're allowed to do that. In states like Florida, you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that with the, you know, we're going to see more and more states that are trying to pass these laws that essentially ban people, citizens, regular citizens from, you know, being able to record incidents. And I think that we're definitely, I've heard talk about this, going to see more of that, especially because there was a conviction that happened recently because someone had a camera, right, and actually showcased a man being murdered by police, and that cop actually ended up having to go to jail. I'm talking about the Chauvin trial here. You know, generally speaking, and Black people, we all know this, right, because we've spent our entire lives walking around as Black people. How unfair is it that nobody believes us unless we show receipts? That we've got to have video evidence. There had to be video of Mike Brown's body laying in the street for hours for anybody to believe us, to care. We had to have video of people, men, being suffocated to death at the hands of law enforcement. We have to have video of neighbors assaulting us, right, in order to be believed. And I would just say that while, you know, the fragmented laws are a hot mess and it is completely disastrous and unfair, I would just, you know, ask all of our friends, right, and our allies who are like, oh my God, you know, which y'all are like being really sensitive, to recognize that white people are automatically believed. Remember, in Central Park, the Central Park incident, that white woman was so emboldened that she pulled out her phone. Well, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to tell them because I can do that because I'm a white woman. And I know that I will be believed as a white woman. If she wasn't caught on tape making up that lie, then nobody would have believed that Black man. So I think it's so ridiculously unfair, but let's just all be reminded the situation that we're in, and let's tell our friends and remind them too of who is believed and who is not. And let that like just kind of, you know, settle into our consciousness when we think about justice and fairness.
Yeah, can't even shop the semi-annual sale in peace. Anyhow, we're out of time, Aisha. Thank you so much for your perspective, as always.
Thanks, Laverne.
And hand in that rewards card. Tear it up.